The evening began like any other on Long Island. A young woman returned home after spending time with friends and sent a short message to her family to let them know she had arrived safely. By the next morning, she was gone. Her phone was off. She missed work. Every call went unanswered. What happened after that final message? How does someone surrounded by friends and family suddenly vanish without a trace? Those were the questions investigators would spend weeks trying to answer, working through timelines, digital records, and conflicting accounts in search of the truth. Rebecca Coher grew up in Medford, a quiet suburb on Long Island, New York. She lived with her mother, Barbara, and her stepfather, Larry Ross, and shared a close bond with her younger brother. Barbara worked as a nurse and was a strong influence in Rebecca's life, inspiring her interest in healthcare from an early age. Friends describe Rebecca as warm, approachable, and energetic. She had an easy way of connecting with people and was known for lifting the mood of any room she entered. After completing her training, she became a nursing assistant at a clinic that supported individuals with disabilities. Co-workers later said she brought patience and genuine compassion to her work. Outside of work, Rebecca maintained an active social life. She enjoyed going out with friends, spontaneous trips, and staying connected with those closest to her, especially her best friend, Nicole. She had also recently started dating a man named Dan. The relationship was still new. While her family did not know him well, nothing initially appeared alarming. On the night she disappeared, Barbara was preparing for her shift. Before leaving, she saw Rebecca joking with her brother in the kitchen. Everything felt ordinary. Rebecca told her mother she planned to meet Nicole, Dan, and a few others at Butcher Boy, a local bar popular with young adults and located a short drive from home. She promised she would be back early because she had worked the next morning. At the bar, the evening appeared normal. Friends later said there were no visible arguments or signs of conflict. At one point, Rebecca briefly sat alone. During that time, a man she and her friends did not recognize approached her. He introduced himself as Jay Brown. Witnesses described him as older than most of the crowd and dressed more formally than typical patrons. According to statements later given to investigators, he added his phone number to Rebecca's phone without much hesitation. A friend, feeling uneasy about the interaction, also saved his number. Though the behavior was noted as forward, Rebecca did not appear distressed, and the group eventually continued their night. At approximately 3:30 a.m., Rebecca sent her mother a text message. "I'm home." It was part of their usual routine. After that message, her phone went silent. The next warning sign came when Rebecca failed to report for her shift. Co-workers called. There was no answer. Her family began contacting friends from the night before. Nicole said she had left earlier and had not spoken to Rebecca afterward. Dan stated he had driven Rebecca home, walked her to the door, and then left. By midday, Rebecca's family contacted police. Investigators began by reviewing Dan's account, as he was the last confirmed person to see her. He consented to interviews and searches of his vehicle and residence. No physical evidence linking him to a crime was found, though a polygraph examination suggested possible deception on certain questions. Authorities emphasize that polygraphs measure physiological responses and are not proof of guilt. Without corroborating evidence, investigators were unable to move forward on that theory. Attention shifted to digital evidence. Phone records revealed that after Rebecca's 3:30 a.m. message, she received 2 calls from a number with a 617 area code. The first call lasted approximately 15 minutes. A shorter second call followed. After that, her phone ceased activity. The number was traced to a prepaid phone activated shortly before the incident, with minimal usage history. Investigators cross-referenced the number with contacts saved in the phones of Rebecca and her friends. It matched the number entered under the name Jay Brown, the man who had approached her at the bar. Surveillance footage from the bar confirmed his presence and showed him speaking with Rebecca. The case then took a major turn when a separate discovery was made in Connecticut. Late one night near Stonington, a motorist noticed a roadside fire and contacted authorities. First responders extinguished the flames and discovered human remains. The body had been wrapped in layers of material and partially burned. Identification was not immediately possible. Forensic examination determined the victim was a young adult female. A distinct rectangular section of skin was missing from the lower back, suggesting an attempt to remove identifying features such as a tattoo. Missing persons databases were searched across state lines. Eventually, investigators identified a potential match. Rebecca Coher. Dental records were obtained and compared. The identification was confirmed. The medical examiner determined that Rebecca's death was a result of sharp force injuries inflicted while she was still alive. The fire occurred after death. These findings directly contradicted any suggestion of an accidental fall. Meanwhile, forensic testing on materials recovered from the scene, including adhesive tape, yielded fingerprints. The prints were identified as belonging to Evans Gautier, the man who had introduced himself as Jay Brown. Investigators located and arrested him. Evidence recovered from his vehicle included bloodstains that were later matched to Rebecca through DNA analysis. During questioning, Gautier claimed the death had been accidental and that he panicked. However, forensic findings did not support that account. The nature of the injuries, the transportation of the body across state lines, and the attempt to conceal and burn remains undermined the explanation. He was charged with second-degree murder and related offenses. At trial, prosecutors presented physical evidence, digital records, forensic testimony, and the fingerprint match. The defense argued lack of intent and emphasized the absence of eyewitnesses to the killing. The jury returned a guilty verdict for second-degree murder. Gautier was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. For Rebecca's family, the verdict provided a measure of accountability, but did not erase the loss. Her mother attended the proceedings and later expressed gratitude to investigators and prosecutors who worked the case. At the same time, she made clear that no legal outcome could restore what had been taken. Rebecca left behind a family, friends, and patients who remembered her not for crime, but for her kindness and dedication. The investigation that began with a simple text message, "I'm home," ultimately revealed a calculated act of violence concealed behind a false identity and a burner phone. What began as an ordinary night ended in tragedy, and the truth only emerged through careful forensic work, digital tracing, and persistence across state lines. Sometimes, the final message is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of the investigation.